built into the budget. The governor has built in $1 billion worth of concessions from the state employees unions in year one and $1 billion in year two. They told me if they are unsuccessful in getting the concessions, it will not be made up for in the revenue side, it will be made up for in the expenditure side, and I took that to mean also the possibility of layoffs. I asked, how many private sector jobs do you anticipate the governor's budget will create? He said in excess of 1,000 jobs, and with regard to the bonding portion of his budget, potentially 20,000 jobs. I asked, what unfunded mandates does the governor in his budget propose to either postpone, eliminate, or fully fund? The answer was none. However, they are planning on transferring the state vote tech schools from state control over to local control, and indicated that they would continue to help with the funding of those things. I asked, are there any closures of state facilities anticipated in the governor's budget? The answer was yes. There's a small state police facility in southwestern Connecticut, I believe deals with gaming, that is slated to be closed. I asked, are there any sale of state assets that are anticipated in the governor's budget? For instance, maybe Bradley Airport or something of that nature, Riverview Hospital, etc. The answer was not really. I asked if there's any physical space consolidations, meaning agencies that are currently in buildings that we pay rent on to move them to places that we own. The answer is yes. There are two small programs here in Hartford, tourism, and he couldn't remember the name of the other agency, but many of those are a function of leases, current leases. I asked if there's any government service that we currently have that is being privatized. The answer was no, none. And lastly, I said, given the fact that the governor is dealing with a majority of Democrats whose political ideology we somewhat have an idea of based on the last few years, and the fact that the budget process is a negotiation, being the fact that he's starting at this point, is this the best it could get for the Connecticut taxpayers? And the answer was the governor built his budget on certain principles. He is very stern with those principles, and he is always open to better ideas. That being said, and before I turn it